What happens when a refined Swedish lorry meets a rugged British heavyweight on the open road? The Volvo F86 offered smooth shifts, quiet cabs, and a taste of continental comfort. The Guy Big J? Raw torque, tough gearboxes, and the kind of reliability that made mechanics smile. In a world where comfort was becoming king and tradition still ruled the yards, these two giants clashed in style and substance. Today, we're settling the score. Volvo finesse versus British grit. Which lorry earned its stripes on UK roads? Let's find out. When you think about what drives a lorry's reputation, it usually starts with what's under the cab. And in the case of the Volvo F86 and Guy Big J, the engine tells you everything about their personalities. The Volvo F86 came equipped with the TD70, a 7-litre turbo diesel engine delivering between 200 and 215 horsepower. Now, on paper, that might not sound earth-shattering, but this engine wasn't built to shout. It was built to glide. It delivered power in a smooth, consistent band, making it ideal for long hauls and motorway cruising. The throttle response was crisp, and the engine note, subtle by 1970 standards, meant less fatigue for the driver. In short, it was engineered with a certain civility that was rare in the industry at the time. On the flip side, the Guy Big J offered a menu of engine options: the Gardner 6LX, the Cummins NH180, or the beefier NHC 250. These engines had a broader power range, from 150 horsepower up to 240, but more importantly, they were all about grunt. Torque came early and hard, especially from the Gardner, making the Big J a natural when it came to pulling weighty trailers through rough terrains or urban starts. It might have lacked the polish of the Volvo, but it compensated with raw, unrelenting pulling power. So who wins? Well, it's a draw, but not because they're identical. The Volvo F86 edges ahead in refinement, ideal for the modernizing motorway era. The Big J, meanwhile, had the kind of torque-heavy performance that earned it deep respect among veteran hauliers. Both did their jobs brilliantly, but their jobs were fundamentally different. This round ends not with a victor, but with two very different champions. Both contenders walk away from this round with a point apiece. This is where the Volvo F86 began to truly separate itself from the old guard. Its transmission setup was nothing short of transformative for the era. Volvo offered synchronized 6 or 8-speed gearboxes, an unheard of luxury for many British hauliers at the time. Shifting gears became an easy task, not effort. The clutch action was light, steering felt responsive and well balanced, and the overall driving experience was simply more civilized. For a driver transitioning from rougher domestic models, the F86 felt like stepping from a wooden rowing boat into a modern saloon. And that wasn't just marketing fluff. It was real-world impact. A smoother transition meant less fatigue, faster journeys, and a lorry that simply got on with the job without asking for a physical toll in return. Now enter the Guy Big J, staunchly British and unapologetically old school. Its gearboxes, typically from David Brown or Eaton, were solid and dependable, but largely unsynchronized. That meant double clutching, timing, and the occasional crunch if you got it wrong. It wasn't bad engineering, it was just built for drivers who were used to wrestling their machines. The steering on the Big J had weight, the clutch had resistance. These weren't flaws, but part of the package. For seasoned drivers who appreciated the mechanical connection, it was familiar territory. But comfort? Not quite. Urban driving turned into a workout, and after a long day, it showed. So, while the Big J had rugged charm, the Volvo F86 offered something new, drivability that felt like progress. It changed expectations and became the benchmark for modern handling in a lorry. Winner? Volvo F86. Let's face it, when you're living behind the wheel for 10 hours a day, the cab isn't just your office, it's your second home. And in the 1970s, that home was either evolving or staying stubbornly traditional. With the Volvo F86, the cab felt like a step into the future. It had a forward control layout with a proper tilting cab, giving easy access to the engine and winning points with maintenance crews. The interior layout was simple but thoughtful. There were sharp corners and rattling panels. It was surprisingly quiet for the time, especially on motorways, and the ride, while firm, was forgiving. You had wide windows, great visibility, and decent insulation that kept fatigue at bay. It was clear Volvo didn't just build the lorry around the engine, they built it around the driver. Then there's the Guy Big J. To its credit, later models did introduce tilt cab designs, improving both access and visibility, and the Big J wasn't uncomfortable by 1960 standards. It was, in some ways, a better place to sit than some of its British rivals. But the moment a Cummins engine was fitted underneath, everything changed. Noise levels went up dramatically. The vibration from the cab floor made itself known early in the shift. And even the Gardner variants, while quieter, still couldn't match Volvo's refinement. It was utilitarian, tough, but not a space you'd describe as restful. The Big J had charm, no doubt, but charm doesn't dampen sounds or soften potholes, and over long hauls, the difference became obvious. Winner, Volvo F86. Why? The F86 wasn't just about moving freight, it was about moving drivers into the future. And it showed in every mile. Every haulier knows a lorry that can't stay on the road is a lorry that doesn't earn its keep. Reliability is more than just engine performance. It's about the time, money, and effort it takes to keep a rig rolling. And in this round, the practical side of ownership comes into sharp focus. The Volvo F86 built a strong reputation for longevity. These lorries were engineered to last, and some examples ran for over 1 million kilometers. No small feat. Drivers praised the durability, and operators appreciated the relatively low rate of mechanical surprises. But there was a catch. Parts weren't always cheap, and during Volvo's early years in the UK, getting a hold of spares could be a hassle. The dealer network was still spreading its wings, and some operators found themselves waiting longer than they liked for service or components. It wasn't a deal breaker, but it did create friction in an industry where time is money. Now let's talk about the Guy Big J. This was a machine built with simplicity in mind. The mechanics were straightforward, repairs could be done without specialist tools, and parts were everywhere. That's the beauty of a lorry designed and built in Britain for British roads. Whether it was a fuel line or a gearbox issue, odds were good that your local mechanic had seen it before. And if the Big J came fitted with a Gardner engine, you were golden. These engines were famous for running clean, cool, and forever. Many were still hauling long after their paint had faded. It might not have had the sophistication of the Volvo, but for day in, day out maintainability on UK soil, the Big J delivered in spades. Winner? Guy Big J. Why? On British soil, the Big J was easier and cheaper to maintain, a haulier's dream in that respect. It is getting tighter here. Let's see who takes the next round home. And if you're enjoying this wrestling match between two lorries, like and subscribe. Build quality isn't just about how long a lorry lasts, it's about how it feels while doing it. It's the tightness of the cab panels, the way the doors shut, and how well the frame holds up after years of potholes, payloads, and punishment. Starting with the Volvo F86, you immediately felt the difference in engineering ethos. Swedish design brought with it tighter manufacturing tolerances, corrosion-resistant metals, and a cab structure that didn't squeak or rattle itself to bits by year 3. The lorry felt solid, buttoned down, well-balanced, and assembled with an eye towards longevity. Even in harsh conditions, F86 cabs aged gracefully. Rust was held at bay longer than many British contemporaries, and owners found themselves replacing trailers long before the cab needed attention. But here's where the Guy Big J stood its ground. It may not have had the sleekness or refinement of the Volvo, but it was built to survive a beating. This lorry didn't need to be pampered. Whether it was rough terrain, heavy loads, or the daily grind of short haul distribution, the Big J handled it all with stoic resolve. It was constructed for endurance. The chassis was tough. The panels rugged, and nothing felt like it was going to break just because you looked at it wrong. While the F86 may have brought European finesse, the Big J brought old-school British resilience. And in a world where operators wanted their investment to outlive their finance terms, both lorries answered the call in very different ways. Winner? Well, it's a tie. Why? Volvo brought finesse, Guy brought durability. Both delivered build quality that earned long-term respect. And now on to the last round. Can our Guy Big J make it 4-4 to wrap things up? Some lorries win fleet contracts, others win drivers' hearts. And when you're spending long hours behind the wheel, it's not just about payloads and power, it's about how that machine makes you feel day in and day out. The Volvo F86 had a way of making drivers feel valued. It wasn't just about the lighter clutch or the quieter cab, it was the whole experience. The seating position was better, the steering more responsive, the visibility? Superb thanks to those wide windows and excellent mirror placement. After a full shift, you didn't climb out feeling like you'd just gone 12 rounds with the road. It delivered comfort without compromising performance, and it brought a touch of European class to a role that had too often felt thankless. It also carried a certain image. Drivers felt proud to roll up to a yard in an F86. It said something. It looked different. It felt different. And in an era when the industry was starting to evolve, the F86 represented that evolution. For many hauliers, it was the first lorry that truly considered the driver's experience as part of the design. Then there's the Guy Big J, a different beast entirely. It was the definition of workman-like. Heavy steering, loud engine, firm ride. It wasn't built for comfort, it was built for results. And while it didn't offer much in the way of driver indulgence, it did offer consistency. The Big J earned its respect through reliability, not refinement. It was the sort of lorry that you appreciated more in hindsight than in the moment. And when it came to daily appeal, the thing that kept drivers content and coming back, the F86 had the edge. It made you feel less like just another cog in the haulage machine. Winner? Volvo F86. Why? Comfort, visibility, and thoughtful design gave the F86 lasting driver appeal. If you enjoyed this journey through classic haulage history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Were you Team Volvo or Team Guy? Or maybe you've driven both? Tell us your stories. We'd love to hear them.